The universe does not respond to long explanations, emotional begging, or repeated requests. It responds to clarity, certainty, and command. There is a moment, just 7 seconds, when your inner state, your feeling, and your words align so completely that reality has no option but to move. In that brief moment, you are not asking, you are declaring, you are not hoping, you are deciding. Power is not loud, and authority is not rushed. The universe listens to the calm confidence behind your words, not the number of times you repeat them. Most people speak from fear, doubt, and urgency, which weakens their words before they leave the mouth. But when you pause, become still, and silence the noise of worry, you step into alignment. Stillness is the doorway to creation. In that state, feeling becomes the language and certainty becomes the signal. What you feel as finished is what the universe accepts as fact. The moment you stop asking how and start knowing it is done, resistance dissolves. In those 7 seconds, one clear sentence spoken in the present tense carries more power than endless prayers spoken in desperation. A true command is simple, calm, and final. It is spoken once, without force, without tension, and without the need for confirmation. When you speak from inner authority, the universe responds quietly, rearranging people, timing, and circumstances in ways you do not need to control. After the command is given, your responsibility ends. Doubt cancels momentum, and impatience interrupts flow. Confidence allows movement. Walk away knowing it has already been set in motion. Do not search for signs or repeat the command. The universe does not ignore certainty. When your inner world is aligned, even 7 seconds are enough to shift your entire reality. The universe does not respond to begging, and this truth alone changes everything once you truly understand it. From the moment most people wake up, they are asking life for permission. They ask for opportunities, they ask for luck, they ask for relief, and they ask for signs. Their words may sound hopeful, but beneath those words is uncertainty, fear, and the silent belief that power exists somewhere outside of them. The universe does not move for that state. It does not reward desperation, and it does not accelerate for those who doubt themselves while speaking. It responds only to authority, because authority signals alignment, certainty, and readiness. Authority is not arrogance. It is not force, noise, or ego. Authority is inner knowing. It is the calm decision that something is so before the world has caught up with it. When you speak from authority, you are not trying to convince the universe. You are informing it. You are not hoping reality will change. You are declaring that it already has. This is why two people can say the same words and get completely different results. One speaks from need, the other from certainty. One begs, the other commands. The universe always knows the difference. Begging carries an energetic message of lack. Even when the words sound positive, the feeling beneath them says, "I do not have this yet." The universe hears that message clearly and responds by maintaining the condition that matches it. Authority, on the other hand, carries the feeling of completion. It says, "This is already mine." That signal is powerful because the universe is structured to reflect states, not statements. You can ask 1,000 times, but if the state behind your words is doubt, nothing shifts. One calm command spoken from inner authority can move more than years of effort driven by fear. From the earliest moments of life, most people are trained out of authority. They are taught to wait, to ask, to seek approval, and to trust external systems more than their own inner direction. Over time, this creates a habit of speaking without conviction. People learn to phrase their desires as questions, their dreams as maybes, and their goals as distant possibilities. This language seeps into the subconscious and becomes identity. The universe then responds not to what they say they want, but to what they believe they are allowed to have. Authority begins the moment you stop asking for permission. It begins when you realize that the same power governing the stars, the seasons, and the unseen order of life also operates through you. You are not separate from it. When you speak from this understanding, your words carry weight because they are aligned with the creative intelligence itself. This is why calm, grounded people often manifest faster than emotional, frantic ones. Calm signals confidence. Confidence signals readiness. Readiness signals authority. The universe is efficient. It does not need long explanations. It does not require emotional displays or repeated affirmations spoken in panic. It responds to clarity. Authority is clarity in its purest form. It is knowing what you want, knowing you deserve it, and knowing it is already in motion the moment you declare it. There is no tension in authority. There is no rush. There is no need to monitor outcomes or chase proof. Those behaviors belong to begging, not commanding. When you beg, you remain energetically beneath the thing you desire. When you command, you meet it as an equal. This shift alone changes how reality interacts with you. People who live in authority do not spend their energy convincing, chasing, or proving. They decide and life adjusts. Opportunities begin to appear naturally, not because they forced them, but because their inner state made those opportunities compatible. Authority also requires responsibility. When you command instead of beg, you can no longer blame the universe, fate, or circumstances. You accept that your inner state is shaping your outer experience. This realization can feel uncomfortable at first, but it is also deeply freeing. You are no longer waiting to be chosen. You are choosing. You are no longer hoping life will respond. You are initiating the response. The universe mirrors confidence because confidence is coherence. A clear signal travels faster than a conflicted one. When your thoughts, emotions, and words align, resistance collapses. Begging creates mixed signals. It says I want, while feeling I don't have. Authority creates a single signal. It says this is, and feels the same. That unity is what activates movement. Many people confuse authority with effort. They believe they must push harder, work longer, or struggle more to be taken seriously by life. But authority is not strain. Strain is evidence of resistance. Authority is ease combined with certainty. It is the quiet decision that does not need validation. The universe respects that frequency because it reflects trust in the natural order. You can feel the difference immediately within yourself. Begging feels heavy, anxious, and urgent. Authority feels grounded, calm, and resolved. One drains energy, the other stabilizes it. When you speak from authority, your nervous system relaxes because there is nothing left to chase. That relaxation is not laziness, it is confidence. It tells the universe there is no internal conflict to slow things down. The most powerful commands are often spoken once. They do not need repetition because repetition implies doubt. When you truly command, you move on. You live as though the outcome is inevitable. This is not pretending or denying reality. It is aligning with a higher one before it becomes visible. The universe catches up because it always follows the dominant state. Authority also changes how others respond to you. People unconsciously sense it. They trust it. They cooperate with it. This is not manipulation, it is resonance. When you stop begging for approval, respect begins to appear naturally. When you stop asking for permission, doors open without force. Life reflects yourself, concept back to you with precision. The shift from begging to authority does not happen overnight for most people. It begins with awareness. Notice how you speak about your desires. Notice whether your words feel strong or uncertain. Notice whether you repeat yourself often, seek reassurance, or look for signs before deciding how to feel. Each of these habits reveals where authority is leaking. The moment you catch them, you reclaim power. Authority does not mean you never feel doubt or fear. It means you do not let those emotions speak for you. You acknowledge them, then return to certainty. The universe does not require perfection. It responds to dominance of state. One moment of true authority can outweigh hours of inner conflict if you do not cancel it with doubt afterward. When you command, you are not demanding from the universe. You are aligning with it. This is a crucial distinction. Demanding comes from ego and separation. Authority comes from unity and trust. You are not forcing reality to obey. You are allowing it to express what is already in motion. The universe does not resist authority because authority does not resist it. Every major shift in life begins this way. Someone decides they are done living beneath their potential. Someone decides they will no longer ask for what they know belongs to them. Someone decides to speak once and stand by it. That decision creates a ripple that rearranges circumstances, timing, and encounters in ways the logical mind could never plan. Begging keeps you focused on what is missing. Authority anchors you in what is inevitable. The universe follows inevitability. It organizes itself around certainty because certainty provides a stable pattern to reflect. When you become that pattern, life mirrors it back to you consistently. This is why silence often precedes breakthroughs. In silence, authority forms. Noise is usually the sound of doubt trying to convince itself. When you become quiet inside, your commands become precise. Precision is power. The universe responds instantly to precise signals. Ultimately, the shift from begging to authority is a shift in identity. You move from seeing yourself as someone who hopes to someone who knows, from someone who waits to someone who decides, from someone who reacts to someone who initiates. The universe always responds to who you are being, not just what you are saying. Once you understand this, you stop trying to get the universe to listen. You realize it has been listening all along, faithfully responding to your dominant state. When that state becomes authority, life changes its tone. Resistance fades, flow increases, results appear with less effort and more precision. Authority is your natural state. You do not need to earn it. You only need to stop giving it away. When you speak from that place, even a few calm words carry immense power. The universe recognizes itself in that frequency, and when it does, it responds without delay. Stillness is not emptiness, and it is not the absence of power. It is the moment power gathers itself. Most people misunderstand stillness because they associate it with stopping, waiting, or doing nothing. In reality, stillness is the most active internal state you can enter. It is the place where scattered energy returns home, where confused thoughts lose momentum, and where clarity quietly takes over. The universe responds fastest not to movement, noise, or effort, but to coherence, and coherence is born in stillness. When the mind is constantly racing, questioning, planning, worrying, and reacting, it sends fragmented signals. One part wants, another doubts, another fears loss, and another demands proof. To the universe, this is static. There is no clear instruction, only contradiction. Stillness dissolves that contradiction. When you become still, the inner noise drops away, and what remains is the truth of what you actually know and feel. That truth is the signal the universe recognizes. Stillness is where you stop negotiating with reality. It is where you stop asking how, when, and why not me. Those questions are not curiosity, they are hesitation in disguise. The moment you become still, those questions lose their urgency. You are no longer trying to figure life out. You are allowing life to respond. This shift alone removes resistance, and resistance is what slows everything down. Many people try to manifest, pray, or command while emotionally stirred up. They speak while anxious, excited, desperate, or impatient. These emotional surges feel powerful, but they are unstable. They rise and fall quickly, and the universe does not anchor outcomes to unstable states. Stillness, however, is stable. It does not fluctuate wildly. It holds. That holding is what gives your words weight. Stillness is also where you exit time pressure. Urgency is one of the strongest signals of doubt. It says, I don't trust this will happen unless it happens now. The universe responds to trust, not pressure. When you become still, urgency dissolves naturally. You stop trying to pull the future toward you, and instead allow it to arrive. This relaxed certainty accelerates outcomes in ways force never can. In stillness, your nervous system shifts. The body stops preparing for threat, and the mind stops scanning for danger. This physiological change matters more than most people realize. A regulated nervous system sends a message of safety and confidence. To the universe, safety signals readiness. It says you can receive without panic, hold without fear, and enjoy without sabotage. Stillness prepares you to receive what you ask for without pushing it away. Stillness also brings you into the present moment, and creation only happens in the present. The past is memory, the future is imagination, the present is where decisions take root. When you are still, you are fully here. And when you are fully here, your commands are grounded. They are not fantasies, they are declarations anchored in now. The universe responds to now because now is where energy moves. Many people avoid stillness because it exposes what they have been running from. In silence, doubts surface, fears whisper, and unresolved beliefs try to speak. But this is not a problem, it is an invitation. Stillness does not create these things, it reveals them so they can dissolve. When you sit in stillness without reacting, these inner disturbances lose power. What remains is clarity, and clarity is magnetic. Stillness is also the place where identity shifts. When you stop reacting to external circumstances, you stop letting them define you. You are no longer a product of what just happened or what might happen. You become the observer instead of the reactor. This subtle change alters everything. The universe responds differently to someone who is centered than to someone who is constantly pulled by events. From stillness, words emerge differently. They are fewer, slower, and more precise. You stop over-explaining because explanation is no longer needed. You stop repeating yourself because repetition implies uncertainty. One sentence spoken from stillness carries more force than 1,000 words spoken from agitation. The universe recognizes that force because it is clean and uninterrupted. Stillness is also where faith becomes practical. Faith is often misunderstood as belief without evidence. In truth, faith is calm certainty without tension. That calm certainty only arises when the mind stops arguing with itself. Stillness quiets the argument. You are no longer trying to convince yourself. You simply know. That knowing is not emotional. It is settled. The universe responds to what is settled. When you practice stillness regularly, you begin to notice how much of your effort was unnecessary. You see that many things you chased were already moving toward you once you stopped interfering. This realization builds trust, and trust deepens stillness even further. It becomes a self-reinforcing cycle. The more you trust, the more still you become. The more still you become, the faster things align. Stillness also teaches patience without passivity. You are not giving up or waiting helplessly. You are holding a decision without wavering. This is a powerful form of patience, because it is active internally while appearing calm externally. The universe responds to this kind of patience because it shows mastery over impulse and fear. In stillness, intuition becomes audible. Guidance that was drowned out by mental noise begins to surface. You sense when to speak and when to remain silent, when to act and when to pause. This timing is crucial. Many delays are not caused by the universe but by mistimed action. Stillness refines your timing, and timing is everything. Stillness also neutralizes comparison. When the mind is quiet, you stop measuring your progress against others. Comparison is a form of distraction that fragments energy. Stillness brings focus back to your own path. The universe responds more effectively when your attention is not divided. Another hidden power of stillness is that it removes the need for control. Control comes from fear of uncertainty. Stillness allows uncertainty to exist without panic. This openness creates space for outcomes better than what the mind could plan. The universe often delivers through unexpected channels, but only those who are still enough to recognize them can receive them. Stillness also strengthens self-trust. When you are constantly reacting, you doubt your own decisions. When you are still, you hear yourself clearly. This clarity builds confidence. Confidence, in turn, signals authority. Authority without aggression is one of the strongest forces there is. Over time, stillness becomes a state you can enter quickly. You no longer need long rituals or perfect conditions. A few breaths, a pause, a moment of awareness, and you are there. From that place, commands become natural, not forced. You speak because it is time to speak, not because you are trying to make something happen. The universe is always moving, always adjusting, always responding. Stillness does not stop this movement, it aligns you with it. When you are still, you are not pushing against the current. You are floating with intention. This is why things feel easier, lighter, and more synchronized. Stillness also dissolves fear of failure. In stillness, you realize that outcomes do not define you. This detachment removes pressure, and pressure is one of the biggest blockers of flow. When you no longer fear failure, success arrives more freely because there is nothing resisting it. Many people believe they need to do more to get more. Stillness teaches you that sometimes you need to do less to receive more. Less interference, less noise, less self-doubt. What remains is power in its purest form. Stillness is not withdrawal from life. It is deeper participation in it. You are present without being reactive, engaged without being attached, focused without being tense. This balanced state is rare, and the universe responds generously to it because it reflects harmony. In the end, stillness is not something you practice to get something. It is something you return to remember who you are. When you remember that, commands feel natural, trust feels easy, and outcomes feel inevitable, the universe does not need to be convinced when you are still. It recognizes the signal immediately, because stillness speaks the same language it does. Feeling is not an accessory to creation, it is the mechanism itself. Long before words take shape, before actions are chosen, before circumstances shift, feeling has already set the direction. Every outcome you experience is born from a dominant feeling state you carried, often unconsciously. This is why people can repeat affirmations endlessly and see no change, while others barely speak yet experience rapid shift. The difference is not effort or intelligence, it is feeling. The universe does not decode grammar or analyze logic. It responds to emotional and energetic tone. Feeling is the signal that tells life what is real for you. Most people are taught to prioritize thought over feeling. They believe that if they think positively enough, reality will follow. But thought without feeling is weak, it has no gravity. A thought is a suggestion, a feeling is a command. When a feeling is present, the body believes it, the nervous system aligns with it, and the subconscious accepts it as truth. The universe then reflects it because it mirrors what is accepted as real on the deepest level. Feeling is belief in motion. Every feeling you hold is a statement about your relationship with life. Feeling confident says, I am supported. Feeling anxious says, I am unsafe. Feeling grateful says, I already have. Feeling desperate says, I am lacking. The universe answers these statements faithfully, without judgment. It does not decide whether a feeling is right or wrong. It simply echoes it back as experience. This is why awareness of feeling is more important than control of circumstances. Many people try to change their lives by changing external conditions first. They wait for proof before allowing themselves to feel differently. They say, when this happens, then I will feel calm, or when I get this, then I will feel secure. This approach reverses the natural order. Feeling is not the reward, it is the cause. Waiting for circumstances to change before shifting feeling keeps reality frozen. The universe waits for the internal signal before it moves the external pieces. Feeling works because it collapses possibility into direction. The universe is full of infinite potential paths, but feeling selects which one you walk. When you consistently feel something as real, The universe organizes events, people, and timing to match that feeling. This process is subtle and gradual, yet precise. You rarely notice it happening, but you always notice the result. One of the most misunderstood aspects of feeling is that it does not require excitement. Many people believe they must feel intense emotion for creation to occur. They try to generate enthusiasm, passion, or high energy, thinking more intensity means more power. In truth, intensity is unstable. Calm, settled feeling is far more effective. A quiet sense of knowing holds more creative force than emotional spikes that fade quickly. The universe prefers consistency over drama. Feeling also operates independently of circumstances. You do not need evidence to feel something as true. In fact, waiting for evidence weakens feeling because it places authority outside of you. When you feel something as already complete, even without proof, you signal trust. Trust is one of the strongest frequencies there is. It tells the universe you are ready to receive without resistance. The body plays a crucial role in feeling. Feelings are not abstract concepts, they are physiological states. When you feel safe, your body relaxes. When you feel threatened, it tightens. When you feel fulfilled, your breathing slows. These physical responses send continuous feedback to the subconscious, reinforcing what you believe to be true. The universe responds to this embodied belief, not intellectual ideas. This is why visualization alone often fails. Seeing an image without feeling does little. But when you allow the body to feel the relief, satisfaction, or calm associated with that image, it becomes real internally. The subconscious cannot distinguish between a felt experience and a physical one. Once it accepts something as real, it adjusts perception and behavior accordingly. The universe then responds to those subtle shifts. Feeling also shapes identity. What you feel consistently becomes who you believe you are. If you habitually feel unworthy, you unconsciously reject opportunities that contradict that feeling. If you feel capable, you naturally step into situations that confirm it. The universe is not blocking or favoring you. It is responding to the identity your feelings reinforce. Many people struggle because they try to force feelings they do not yet believe. They attempt to feel confident while secretly feeling doubtful. This creates internal conflict. The universe responds to the dominant feeling, not the desired one. Suppressing negative feelings does not work. Acknowledging and softening them does. When resistance fades, new feelings can emerge naturally. Feeling cannot be faked, but it can be cultivated. It grows through familiarity. When you repeatedly imagine and rest in a feeling without urgency, it becomes normal. Normality is powerful. The universe responds fastest to what feels normal to you, because normality signals acceptance. What feels extraordinary often feels unreachable. What feels normal feels inevitable. One of the most effective ways to shift feeling is through relief. Relief is a neutral bridge between lack and fulfillment. Instead of trying to feel ecstatic, you allow yourself to feel less tense, less worried, less pressured. Relief softens resistance. From relief, confidence grows naturally. The universe responds immediately to reduce resistance because there is nothing blocking flow. Feeling also determines how long manifestation takes. When you feel impatient, you are focused on absence. When you feel content, even before results appear, you are aligned with presence. Presence accelerates outcomes because it removes the sense of waiting. The universe moves faster when you are not watching the clock. It is important to understand that fleeting feelings do not create lasting change. The universe responds to dominant, repeated states. A moment of confidence followed by hours of doubt cancels momentum. Consistency matters more than strength. A gentle, steady feeling held daily will outperform intense bursts followed by collapse. Feeling is also deeply connected to self-trust. When you trust yourself, you feel secure. When you feel secure, you stop overthinking and second-guessing. This clarity simplifies decisions and actions. The universe responds to clarity because clarity reduces friction. Confusion delays, clarity directs. Many spiritual teachings emphasize faith, but faith is not blind belief. Faith is emotional certainty without tension. It is the feeling of "this is handled." That feeling alone reorganizes perception. You notice opportunities you would have ignored. You respond instead of react. You move at the right time instead of forcing outcomes. The universe responds to this alignment because it is efficient. Feeling also affects communication with others. When you feel confident, people respond differently to you. When you feel desperate, they sense it even if you hide it. This is not psychology alone, it is resonance. The universe communicates through people as much as through events. Your feeling sets the tone of these interactions. One of the most liberating realizations is that you do not need to feel perfect to create change. You only need to feel slightly better than before and maintain it. Small emotional shifts create large external ripples over time. The universe does not require extremes. It responds to direction. Feeling also dissolves resistance to receiving. Many people subconsciously block good things because they feel undeserving. When you allow yourself to feel worthy without justification, doors open. Worthiness is not proven, it is assumed. The universe accepts the assumption and reflects it back. The most powerful feelings are often quiet. Peace, acceptance, trust, gratitude. These states indicate completion rather than striving. Striving implies lack, completion implies fulfillment. The universe mirrors fulfillment because it is a stable endpoint. Feeling is the language of creation because it is universal. It bypasses logic, culture, and belief systems. It operates beneath thought, shaping reality from the inside out. When you master feeling, you no longer need to control outcomes. You influence them naturally by choosing the state you return to again and again. Ultimately, feeling reveals what you believe to be true about yourself and life. Change the feeling, and belief shifts. Change belief and behavior adjusts. Adjust behavior and circumstances rearrange. The universe responds at every level, but it always begins with feeling. When you understand this, creation stops feeling mysterious. It becomes intimate, personal, and immediate. The universe is always listening, and feeling is the voice it understands best. One clear command is enough, because power is not measured by repetition, but by conviction. Most people repeat themselves because they are unsure, not because repetition is required. They speak again and again, hoping that more words will compensate for less certainty. But the universe does not respond to volume, length, or frequency. It responds to clarity. A single clear command, spoken once and supported by inner certainty, carries more force than endless affirmations spoken from doubt. When something is truly decided within you, it does not need to be argued for, explained, or reinforced. Decision itself becomes the signal. Repetition often hides fear. It reveals the belief that if you stop speaking, nothing will happen. This belief places power outside of you, as though the universe needs reminders or pressure. In truth, repetition after a clear command usually weakens it. Each time you repeat from anxiety, you introduce a new message. I don't trust that this is working. The universe faithfully responds to that lack of trust by slowing, redirecting, or dissolving momentum. One command, when complete, creates movement. Multiple commands layered with doubt create interference. Clarity is rare because it requires inner honesty. To issue one clear command, you must know what you want without contradiction. Many people are conflicted. They want success but fear responsibility. They want abundance but fear change. They want peace but cling to familiar chaos. When commands come from conflicted states, they fragment. The universe cannot respond to mixed instructions. One clear command emerges only when inner conflict settles. This is why stillness and feeling matter so deeply. They refine desire into something singular. A clear command is simple by nature. Complexity usually signals confusion. The mind tends to overcomplicate when it is unsure. It adds conditions, timelines, explanations, and justifications. But power does not need decoration. The most effective commands are often brief and direct because they arise from knowing, not thinking. Knowing does not elaborate, it states. The universe understands statements far more easily than stories. One clear command also establishes authority because it implies finality. There is no question mark at the end of it. It is not an experiment, it is not a test. It is a conclusion reached internally before reality reflects it. This internal finality is what the universe recognizes. When something is final within you, it becomes inevitable outside of you. Repetition suggests negotiation. A clear command suggests completion. Many people fear issuing one clear command because it feels vulnerable. If you speak once and let go, you cannot hide behind effort. You cannot say, I tried harder, or I said it more times. You are left with trust. This is uncomfortable for the ego, which prefers control and reassurance. But creation does not require control, it requires alignment. One clear command aligns you fully because it removes the escape routes of doubt. Silence after the command is as important as the command itself. Silence is not emptiness, it is confirmation. When you speak once and then fall silent internally, you are signaling confidence. You are saying, without words, this is handled. The universe moves fastest when it does not sense interference. Constant mental chatter after a command is interference. It pulls attention back to lack and waiting. Silence allows momentum to build uninterrupted. A clear command also restructures your behavior naturally. When you truly decide something, you begin acting in subtle alignment with it without forcing yourself. Your choices shift, your posture changes, your attention reorganizes. You notice opportunities you previously ignored. None of this feels like effort because decision has already been made. The universe responds to this behavioral coherence because it confirms the internal command. There is also an energetic honesty in one clear command. You are not trying to convince yourself or anyone else. You are not performing belief. You are expressing it. This authenticity carries weight. The universe responds to authenticity because it reflects truth rather than desire. Desire says, I want. Truth says, this is. Truth always outranks desire. Many delays occur not because the universe is slow, but because commands are constantly being revised. People change their minds emotionally throughout the day. In the morning they feel hopeful. By afternoon they feel doubtful. By night they feel discouraged. Each emotional shift sends a new instruction. The universe tries to respond, but receives conflicting updates. One clear command, held consistently, eliminates this confusion. Consistency is speed. One clear command does not mean you never think about your desire again. It means you do not reissue it from insecurity. You may think about it with calm expectation, curiosity, or even joy. But you are no longer asking whether it will happen. That question has been resolved. The universe responds differently to anticipation than to questioning. Anticipation assumes arrival. Questioning assumes absence. It is important to understand that clarity is not forced confidence. Forced confidence is tense and brittle. True clarity is relaxed. It does not need to be defended. When you issue a clear command, there is often a sense of relief that follows. That relief is the sign you are done. The universe recognizes that state immediately because relief signals completion. One clear command also simplifies your inner world. When you stop repeating, chasing, and correcting, mental energy frees up. This freed energy becomes available for inspiration, intuition, and aligned action. Many people are exhausted not because life is demanding, but because they are constantly reasserting desires they do not trust. Trust conserves energy. Conserved energy accelerates manifestation. The universe responds to the path of least resistance. One clear command creates a clean path. Repetition creates friction. It is like pushing water with your hands versus allowing it to flow. The more you push, the more resistance you feel. The less you interfere, the faster it moves. A clear command also establishes boundaries with yourself. It marks the end of indecision. Indecision is one of the most draining states because it keeps energy suspended. Decision releases energy. Once released, that energy moves into form. The universe responds to release because it allows natural order to take over. Many people confuse patience with passivity. Issuing one clear command and then letting go is not passive. It is deeply active internally. You are holding a decision steady without wavering. This is far more powerful than frantic action driven by fear. The universe responds to steadiness because steadiness indicates mastery. One clear command also teaches self-respect. When you stop repeating yourself internally, you signal that your word matters. This self-respect radiates outward. Others respond differently to you. Opportunities align more cleanly. The universe mirrors how seriously you take your own declarations. The habit of repeating commands often comes from a lack of trust in self, rather than a lack of trust in the universe. When you trust yourself, you trust your decisions. When you trust your decisions, you do not need to revisit them emotionally. This self-trust stabilizes your energy. The universe responds to stable energy because it is predictable and coherent. There is also a creative intelligence within you that knows when a command has been properly issued. After a clear command, you often feel lighter. There is less urgency, less mental noise. This is not detachment, it is alignment. The universe reads this internal shift as readiness. One clear command is enough because the universe is not hard of hearing. It is precise. It listens to what you mean, not how often you say it. When meaning is clear, response is immediate, even if physical evidence takes time to unfold. Time is not delay, it is sequencing. The most powerful creators throughout history understood this intuitively. They did not obsessively reaffirm their vision. They decided, committed, and moved forward. Their certainty carried them through obstacles without constant reevaluation. The universe supported them because their signal was unwavering. Ultimately, one clear command is an act of trust. It says you trust life to do its part once you have done yours. It says you trust yourself enough to stand by your decision. This trust is magnetic. The universe is drawn to it because it reflects the same intelligence that governs all creation. When you truly understand this, you stop trying to manage outcomes. You stop checking, chasing, and correcting. You speak once, feel the certainty, and live from it. The universe meets you there not because you forced it to, but because clarity always invites response. One clear command is not minimal effort. It is maximum alignment. And alignment is the language the universe obeys instantly. Doubt and urgency are subtle forces, yet they quietly block more results than any external obstacle ever could. They do not feel dangerous at first because they often disguise themselves as logic, responsibility, or motivation. Doubt pretends to be realism, and urgency pretends to be passion. But beneath these masks, both carry the same message to the universe: lack. And the universe responds to lack with delay, resistance, and repetition of the same patterns. Doubt fractures your signal. It splits your intention into opposing directions. One part of you says yes, another whispers maybe, and a third prepares for disappointment. To the universe, this is not humility or intelligence. It is confusion. The universe operates through coherence. When your inner world is divided, your external world reflects that division. Progress becomes inconsistent. Opportunities feel unstable, and results arrive partially or not at all. Doubt is powerful because it often sounds reasonable. It asks questions like, what if this doesn't work? Or am I really capable? Or what if I fail? These questions feel protective, as though they are saving you from disappointment. But in reality, they keep you emotionally anchored to the very outcomes you fear. The universe does not distinguish between fear used for protection and fear used for sabotage. It responds to the emotional conclusion behind the thought. If the conclusion is uncertainty, the response will be uncertainty. Urgency, on the other hand, adds pressure to the signal. It says, "This must happen now or something is wrong." That pressure communicates distrust. It implies that you believe time is against you, that the universe needs to be rushed, or that things will fall apart if you do not force movement. The universe does not respond well to pressure because pressure signals instability. Creation requires space. Urgency collapses that space. When doubt and urgency combine, they create a cycle that is difficult to escape. You doubt whether something will happen, so you feel urgency to make it happen faster. The urgency increases emotional tension, which strengthens doubt. This loop keeps you in a state of constant effort, without alignment. The universe mirrors this by keeping outcomes just out of reach, reinforcing the belief that more effort and more urgency are needed. Doubt also weakens trust in self. When you doubt, you question your own decisions, you second-guess your instincts. You look outward for reassurance instead of inward for certainty. This outsourcing of authority fragments your energy. The universe responds to self-trust because self-trust signals readiness. When you doubt yourself, you signal unreadiness, and the universe responds by withholding or delaying. Urgency weakens patience, but not the healthy kind of patience. It erodes the calm patience that allows things to unfold naturally and replaces it with anxious waiting. Anxious waiting is still a form of effort. It is mental chasing. Even if you are not taking action, your mind is running ahead, checking timelines, measuring progress, and imagining worst-case scenarios. The universe responds to where your attention lies. If your attention lies in not yet, your experience will reflect not yet. Both doubt and urgency pull you out of the present moment. Doubt pulls you into imagined failure. Urgency pulls you into imagined delay. Neither allows you to remain grounded in now. Creation happens only in the present. When you leave the present emotionally, you disconnect from the point of power. The universe cannot respond to a state you are not inhabiting. Many people believe that urgency is necessary to succeed. They think without urgency they will become lazy or complacent. This belief is rooted in fear, not truth. Calm confidence is far more productive than anxious urgency. Calm confidence allows you to see clearly, choose wisely, and act at the right time. Urgency rushes action, clouds judgment, and leads to mistakes. The universe supports clarity, not panic. Doubt also distorts perception. When you doubt, you selectively notice evidence that confirms your fear. Opportunities pass unnoticed, support feels invisible, progress feels insignificant. The universe may already be responding, but doubt filters it out. You conclude nothing is happening, which strengthens urgency, which deepens doubt. This is not because the universe is slow, but because your perception is narrowed. Urgency communicates fear of loss. It says, "If this doesn't happen now, I lose something important." Fear of loss is one of the strongest signals of attachment. Attachment tightens energy. Tight energy resists flow. The universe responds to openness because openness allows movement. When you release urgency, you release the grip. When you release the grip, movement resumes. Doubt also creates emotional rehearsal of failure. Each time you imagine something not working, you are emotionally practicing that outcome. The universe responds to practice states because they feel familiar. Familiarity attracts repetition. This is why people often relive the same disappointments in different forms. The underlying feeling never changed. Urgency disrupts timing. Timing is not about speed, it is about alignment. Acting too early can be just as misaligned as acting too late. Urgency pushes you to act before conditions are ready, before clarity is complete, before inner certainty is established. The universe respects timing. When you trust timing, things unfold smoothly. When you force timing, friction appears. Doubt and urgency both stem from the same root, lack of trust. Trust in self, trust in life, trust in process. Without trust, The mind tries to compensate through control. Control feels active, but it is actually defensive. The universe does not respond well to defense because defense implies threat. Creation thrives in safety, not survival mode. Releasing doubt does not mean ignoring reality. It means choosing which reality you align with internally. You can acknowledge challenges without emotionally identifying with failure. You can be aware of time without being ruled by it. This balanced awareness signals maturity and stability. The universe responds positively to stable states because they can sustain outcomes without collapse. Letting go of urgency does not mean losing desire. Desire without urgency is clean, it is spacious. It allows anticipation without anxiety. This state tells the universe you are ready to receive without desperation. Desperation repels because it signals emptiness. Readiness attracts because it signals capacity. One of the clearest signs that doubt and urgency are present is the need for constant reassurance. When you repeatedly check progress, ask others for validation, or look for signs, you are signaling uncertainty. The universe responds to uncertainty by withholding clarity. When you stop checking, clarity emerges naturally. Doubt also drains emotional energy. Carrying uncertainty is exhausting. That exhaustion lowers your overall frequency and weakens your ability to respond creatively. The universe responds to vitality. When you are emotionally drained, you are less receptive. Releasing doubt restores energy, which restores responsiveness. Urgency compresses joy out of the present moment. You postpone peace until the outcome arrives. This tells the universe that peace is conditional. The universe mirrors that belief by keeping peace conditional. When you allow peace now, even before results appear, you signal sufficiency. Sufficiency accelerates fulfillment. The paradox is that things often arrive faster when you stop rushing them. This is not coincidence, it is resonance. When urgency drops, resistance drops. When resistance drops, flow increases. The universe moves along the path of least resistance, and urgency creates resistance. Doubt also weakens commitment. When you doubt, you are half committed. Half commitment produces half results. The universe responds to full commitment because full commitment is clear. Clarity invites cooperation. Ambivalence invites delay. Learning to notice doubt and urgency without judging them is key. Fighting them gives them energy. Observing them allows them to dissolve. When you notice doubt and choose certainty anyway, you reclaim authority. When you notice urgency and choose patience instead, you reclaim trust. The universe responds immediately to these internal shifts, even if external results take time to show. Calm confidence is not passive. It is deeply active. It holds intention without strain. It trusts without tension. It expects without watching. This state tells the universe that everything is under control internally, so there is no need for external chaos. When doubt fades, your words become cleaner. When urgency fades, your actions become more precise. Precision is powerful. The universe responds to precision because it removes ambiguity. Ambiguity slows, precision directs. Ultimately, doubt and urgency block results because they argue with reality before it has a chance to respond. They interrupt the process mid-creation. When you release them, you allow the universe to complete what you started internally. The moment you choose calm confidence over doubt and trust over urgency, something shifts. Your nervous system relaxes. Your mind clears, your energy stabilizes. The universe recognizes this shift instantly because it mirrors the same intelligence it operates by. When you no longer rush life, life stops resisting you. When you stop doubting yourself, reality stops questioning your worth. The universe does not punish doubt or reward urgency. It simply reflects them, removes them, and the path opens naturally, quietly, and often faster than you expected. Releasing control after the command is the final and most misunderstood step. Yet it is the step that allows everything else to work. Most people believe that control is strength. that holding tightly to an outcome will somehow ensure its arrival. In truth, control is usually fear wearing the mask of responsibility. It is the attempt to manage life because trust feels risky. The universe responds not to grip, but to openness. When you release control, you are not giving up on your desire, you are giving it space to arrive. Control begins in the mind. After a command is spoken, the mind wants to monitor progress. It checks for signs, analyzes timing, imagines possible obstacles, and rehearses backup plans. These mental activities feel productive, but they send a message of doubt. They imply that you do not trust the process you initiated. The universe hears this clearly. It responds by slowing movement or rerouting energy because the signal is no longer clean. Letting go restores clarity. Releasing control does not mean forgetting what you asked for. It means no longer emotionally managing it. There is a difference between awareness and attachment. Awareness is light and flexible. Attachment is heavy and tense. The universe flows through awareness but resists attachment. When you attach to an outcome, you tighten emotionally. That tightening restricts the natural pathways through which things unfold. Control also assumes that you know the best way for something to happen. This assumption limits possibility. The universe operates through infinite routes, many of which are invisible to the conscious mind. When you insist on a specific path, you block alternatives that may be faster, easier, or more aligned. Releasing control invites surprise. Surprise is often how the universe delivers beyond expectation. One of the reasons letting go feels difficult is because it challenges identity. Many people define themselves by effort. They believe that if they are not actively doing something, they are being irresponsible. Releasing control feels like losing relevance. In reality, it is a shift from force to trust. Trust is not passive. It is intelligent surrender. The universe responds to intelligent surrender because it mirrors the same principle by which life evolves. Control also keeps you emotionally tied to outcomes. Your mood rises and falls depending on what you think is happening. This emotional volatility creates instability. The universe responds best to stability because stable states can hold results without collapsing. When you release control, your emotional state becomes less dependent on external progress. This stability allows things to solidify. Letting go also resets timing. When you control, you rush. You compare where you are to where you think you should be. This creates impatience. Impatience signals mistrust. The universe responds to mistrust by slowing things down until alignment returns. When you let go, timing recalibrates naturally. Events begin to line up in ways that feel effortless. Releasing control strengthens intuition. When the mind is no longer occupied with managing outcomes, you can hear subtle guidance. Intuition often speaks softly and briefly. Control drowns it out. Letting go creates mental space. In that space, insight appears. The universe often guides through intuition rather than force. Those who listen move smoothly. Those who control struggle. Control is also rooted in fear of uncertainty. Uncertainty feels uncomfortable because it removes predictability. Yet uncertainty is where creation lives. If everything were known, nothing new could emerge. Releasing control means allowing uncertainty without panic. This emotional tolerance is a sign of maturity. The universe responds generously to maturity because it can trust you with larger outcomes. Many people think that if they let go, things will fall apart. In reality, things often fall apart because they are being controlled too tightly. Excess control creates pressure, and pressure breaks systems. Releasing control allows flexibility. Flexibility allows resilience. The universe prefers resilience because it adapts rather than resists. Letting go also dissolves resistance to receiving. When you control, you are focused on effort. Effort keeps you in doing mode. Receiving requires being mode. You cannot receive fully while micromanaging. The universe delivers when you are receptive. Receptivity is a state of openness, not vigilance. There is also a deeper trust involved in letting go, trust in your own command. When you release control, you are saying, I trust what I decided. This self-trust is powerful. It signals integrity. The universe responds to integrity because it reflects consistency between intention and action. When you constantly revisit a command, you signal inner inconsistency. Letting go changes how you experience waiting. Waiting no longer feels like delay, it feels like unfolding. This shift is subtle but transformative. When you experience waiting as unfolding, you remain present and engaged with life. The universe responds to presence because presence is where energy flows. Absence, whether emotional or mental, stalls movement. Releasing control also improves your relationship with effort. You still act when inspired, but action becomes responsive rather than compulsive. You move because it feels right, not because you are afraid of losing momentum. The universe supports inspired action because it aligns with natural timing. Forced action often creates resistance and burnout. Control often comes with the need to explain and justify. You want to know why things are happening a certain way. You want reasons to feel safe. Letting go means accepting that not everything needs to be understood immediately. Understanding often arrives after the fact. The universe does not require your understanding to function. It requires your trust. Letting go also reduces self-criticism. When you control, you blame yourself for any perceived delay. You assume you are doing something wrong. This self-judgment lowers confidence and reintroduces doubt. Releasing control allows compassion. Compassion stabilizes your inner state. The universe responds to stable, compassionate states because they are sustainable. Another aspect of releasing control is releasing the need to tell others or seek validation. When you trust the process, you do not need approval. This independence strengthens authority. The universe responds to authority because authority is self-contained. It does not leak energy outward. Letting go also frees creativity. When the mind stops managing outcomes, it becomes playful again. Playfulness opens new possibilities. The universe often responds through creative solutions rather than linear ones. Creativity requires freedom. Control restricts. Letting go liberates. There is a natural rhythm to life that cannot be forced. Seasons change, growth occurs, and transformation unfolds according to internal readiness. Releasing control aligns you with this rhythm. When you move with life instead of against it, resistance dissolves. The universe responds by smoothing paths rather than placing obstacles. Releasing control does not mean abandoning responsibility. It means shifting responsibility from micromanagement to alignment. You remain responsible for your state, your choices, and your integrity. The universe handles the orchestration. This division of labor is efficient. When you try to do both, exhaustion follows. The greatest manifestations often arrive when you are not watching for them. This is not because attention repels, but because detachment removes pressure. Pressure constricts. Detachment allows expansion. The universe expands where there is space. Letting go also teaches humility, not in the sense of diminishing yourself, but in recognizing that you are part of a larger intelligence. You do not need to control the ocean to sail it. You need to understand the wind and trust the currents. The universe responds to those who cooperate rather than dominate. In the end, releasing control is an act of faith grounded in experience. Each time you let go and things still work out, trust deepens. Each time trust deepens, control loosens further. This creates a positive cycle where life feels supportive rather than adversarial. When you release control after the command, you complete the process. You speak, you feel, you decide, and then you allow. Allowing is the final signal. It tells the universe that you are ready, open, and aligned. The universe responds not with effort, but with precision. What arrives may not look exactly as you imagined, but it will carry the essence of what you commanded, often delivered with a wisdom greater than your own.